to have a working knowledge of why we care about those numbers of standard deviations and why they're important. And Kelly, thank you for that question. Like, I don't understand why they're important, about 10 minutes ago. Well, now hopefully you have an idea. Now you can associate a probability to it, so heck yeah. All right, go back to your data sheet, friends. Before we leave bell-shaped data behind, because we do unfortunately have to leave it behind.
For today, pick up on
For today, yes. Looking at the clock, I'm glad I looked up there. What we're going to talk about next is not going to be able to be done well in the time we have left. But just to get an idea, look down to the next data set on your sheet here. It's Portland Marathon, 2013 Portland Marathon finishers, a sample I drew from the website. If you look on their websites, I wanted to use the Boston Marathon because one of our, who has Emma for science class? Emma should put? Emma, she ran the Boston Marathon yesterday, 3 hours and 13 minutes. She is here today teaching class. Freaking animal. Emma, you're the bomb. 3:13. Just so you know, that's amazing. At the Boston Marathon, which is essentially the most prestigious marathon in the world, except the one that was maybe run in Greece, that it's named after, maybe. But it's more prestigious than the Olympic Marathon. This is not, it's not impressing you as much as it impresses me. It's okay. I tried qualifying for Boston back in the day when I was silly enough to try distance running. The best I ever did, heavily training, was 3:30. She took 17 minutes off of that. I mean, it's ridiculous. 45 seconds a mile off of that? Emma, beast S. So you get, no, John's hurt. His IT bands are acting up. He can't run right now. He's biking like a fiend. He's an animal too. 3:13. Hell, I wanted to get Boston Marathon data, but I couldn't get it quick enough to use for class. So I used Portland Marathon instead. I figured that was the next best thing we could do. So anyway, what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to pull from this data averages and standard deviations. But do you see a problem? Do you see a problem with pulling an average or a standard deviation from this data? How is this data different than the weight loss data up above, or even our height data here? How is it different? Well, they're good. There are two data sets, and I want to see if there's a difference in ages between the guys and the girls, for sure. But what about those two data sets? How are they presented to you? They're grouped, they're clumped. Yes, Eric, yes, Jed, they're clumped together, they're grouped, which means we're going to lose a little bit of that accuracy, yes? Because now we've lost the deal. If it's between 15 and 24 years of age, how old are they? Right, we have to say, like, okay, there are 7 of them in that group, in the top or in the bottom, but I want to, say that again. Exactly, you have to call them something, right? You have to call them a number. And we decided last time, what's the best number to call them? Whatever's in the middle of those two numbers. We're going to be wrong less if we do that, rather than if we go to one side or the other. That's why I was so concerned about the averaging, Cody, of the 5'11 and a half. Crap, everybody that's a half is going to go up, which isn't a problem, except so many people talked about their heights in terms of half of an inch versus a third of an inch or 2/3 of an inch or something like that. So anyway, next time, we'll get into that. I'll update the spreadsheet for you with our heights and see how low our estimate of 2.25 inches was. I'm stoked about that, actually. Say that again. I called that the top finishers. I think it was in the first 3 pages of the website, and bottom were the last 3 pages of the website. I think that's how I define top and bottom. It does. That's page 2. It was supposed to be, no. It was supposed to be a back page of your data sheet, Aaron. How many total? I don't remember. Thousands.
Is there a quiz about this?
Thousands and thousands. It's related to it. That's 100 years worth of snowfall data. Your quiz for Thursday is about 1 day of snowfall that happened in February. Just that crazy when you woke up in the morning, you're like, oh, look at that, 3 feet of snow. Let's see how the averages changed. That's what that quiz was about. So I like talking about snow in here because we get a lot of it.
Yeah.
What's up? Sarah, would you mind just flipping the camera closed? That'd be awesome. Spin that around 180. You are awesome.